This is Barry Zalma speaking for Claim School Incorporated's blog, Zalma on Insurance. Today we talk about a court who rendered a Solomon-like decision and severed fraud defendants from those fraud defendants who were charged with the crime of murder, and why improper joinder of multiple-party criminal fraud case with co-defendants charged with murder must be stopped. Murder defendants have to be tried separately from the fraud defendants. A case that involved allegations of a years-long scheme by over a dozen individuals to stage fake automobile collisions in the New Orleans metropolitan area and file fraudulent insurance claims and lawsuits based on the staged collisions. The key individuals involved included Cornelius Garrison, who began cooperating with the federal government in 2019 and was subsequently murdered on September 22, 2020. In a case entitled United States of America versus Ryan Harris et al., the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Louisiana on July 25, 2025, dealt with motions to sever some defendants from the massive and admittedly complex case. There are 11 defendants charged with a multi-year conspiracy involving attorneys, and some of the charges against some of the defendants include the murder of the government witness. The government filed a second superseding indictment on April 25, 2025, charging multiple defendants with various crimes, notably only Sean D. Alfortish and Leon M. Parker were also charged with crimes related to Garrison's murder. In a motion to sever, Giles and the King firm sought to sever their trial from all their co-defendants pursuant to Rule 8b and 14a of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure and the Fifth and Sixth Amendments to the United States Constitution. The government contended that the defendants in this case pursued the common goal of personal gain through fraudulent lawsuits and insurance claims, and that the slammers, especially Garrison, were the key men who were involved in and directed illegal activities while the passengers and attorneys exerted individual efforts towards that common goal. The court found that there was an overlap of participants in the alleged schemes of Giles, the King firm, and the Mota defendants, and additionally, Giles, the King firm, and Mota defendants allegedly paid their slammers via cash and checks and attempted to conceal the nature of the payments in the same way by categorizing them as loans or advances on future settlements. The court also found that there was a substantial overlap in facts and participants regarding the filing of fraudulent insurance claims as alleged in Count 1. The court concluded that Count 1 alleged that Lawrence and other defendants participated in the same series of acts or transactions constituting an offense, and that she was properly joined as a defendant in Count 1 under Rule 8b. Based upon the allegations in the second superseding indictment, the facts underlying the murder charges against Parker and Alfortish subsequently overlapped with and stem from Garrison's participation in the conspiracy alleged in Count 1 and his covert cooperation with the federal investigation into the staged collision scheme. The court found that the conspiracy allegations in Count 1, including the Garrison was covertly cooperating with a federal investigation into the staged automobile collision scheme connect Giles, the King firm, and the motor defendants to the allegations against Al Fortish and Parker in the murder charges. The court also found that Giles, the King firm, Stalbert, Morgan, and Lawrence will be prejudiced if their fraud and obstruction charges are joined with the murder charges pending against Al Fortish and Parker, since the court further found that murder is likely to spill over and prejudice Giles, the King firm, Stalbert, Morgan, and Lawrence, who the government admitted have no connection to the murder. Accordingly, the court found that Giles, the King firm, Stalbert, Morgan, and Lawrence carried their burden of proving prejudicial joinder of the murder charges. The court concluded that court should grant a severance under Rule 14 only if there is a serious risk that a joint trial would compromise a specific trial right of one of the defendants or prevent the jury from making a reliable judgment about guilt or innocence. The court determined that this is indeed one of those cases where a joint trial that includes the murder charges in counts 9 through 13 against Al Fortish and Parker would do just that. In my opinion, although a massive insurance fraud scheme is serious and will be difficult to defend, to attach to that fraud trial of multiple defendants, only 2 of whom were involved in the murder of Mr. Garrison, would prejudice the fraud defendants. The 2 defendants will be tried for the murder separately from the multiple defendants who were involved in the fraud, including the 2 charged with murder. Fraud trials should be presented as simple and direct as possible, and even if the fraud resulted in a murder, the fraud trial should not be poisoned with the murder. This video was adapted from my blog, Zalma on Insurance, which is available free to anyone who clicks on the URL zalma.com/blog. You can subscribe to the blog, and if you do, you'll receive notice of every blog posting, usually 5, sometimes 6 a week, and you'll also gain access to the more than 5,150 blog postings. Please tell your friends and colleagues about this blog and these videos so that they too can subscribe. They're free. And if you're interested in further detail about insurance, insurance claims, insurance law, and insurance fraud, please consider, for a very small fee, subscribing to my Substack publications. Thank you for your attention.